Hi, I'm Niels. We're at the Peavey booth at Guitar Summit 2025, and I will give you a little overview of the products we have here this year, and especially the new products. Let's start on this side. Some people might not know that Trace Elliot is also a part of Peavey, but it is. That's why it's on the booth. And we have some new pedals from Trace Elliot as well, like the overdrive pedal, a dual band compressor, and the acoustic clarity pedal, which is an enhancement pedal. And now we're coming directly to the new Peavey stuff. This is a Peavey Super Festival F1200B amp with 1200 watts. And we have a fitting 6x10 cabinet for this. And this used to be an amp back in the 70s and is very well known for its overdrive. And you can add a little bit of overdrive till real heavy fuzz to the signal, and it sounds really great, but also nice for cleans. Okay, let's continue with some more well-known products like the 6505, which is an amp that many people are familiar with. Of course, it's very well known in the metal community, and it's one of the most iconic amps in that genre, I would say. We have these two heads, the 1992 original, which came out last year. We put in some new transformers, so it sounds as close as you can get to the original 5150 amps. I think you already talked to Misha Mandur, who's our special guest this year, and he is also the co-developer of the Invective series. We have the Invective 120 head, which is the full version, with many options like an integrated gate, different boosts for both channels, and a lot of options that I'm not going to talk about right now. Of course, there's also like a mini head version of the Invective amp and a combo version, which are slightly different. The combo also has reverb, but the sound is basically the same on both. These are 20 watt mini heads. You can play them silently. You can reduce the power down to 1 watt from 20 watt. And what's really new also is we have some new pedals. We call it the Legacy series, and those pedals are preamp pedals, which resemble the preamps of some older Peavey amps. For example, the Session LTD 400. It's the preamp of a pedal steel amp from the 70s. Of course, in Germany, not that many people play pedal steel, but it really sounds also good on guitar. You can get a very nice round clean sound, or also use it as a boost. And then we have the Peavey Decade pedal, which is the preamp circuit of the classic Decade combo. You have an option for saturation, which gives you some more gain. Of course, 3-band EQ, and with Peavey, pre and post, which is basically pre-gain and volume. Same goes for the Bandit Teal stripe preamp. You might remember the amps from early 90s with this blue, or actually it's teal stripe on the front, and it resembles the preamp from those amps. And of course we have the Rockmaster, which is a pedal version of the famous rack preamp that Peavey used to make. And this gives you a lot of gain if you want, especially in the ultra gain with the ultra gain option. And yeah, it does everything from hard rock to death metal. Yeah, we've already seen the Decade pedal, but we also have the new Decade 2 combo, which is basically a reissue of the original Decade amp, but with some bass boost and top boost. And as you might see, it's called the Joshua Omi Decade Too, because this amp used to be his secret weapon back in the day. And if you want to get the true Queens of the Stone Age sound, you just plug into this amp and you will have it, believe me. We also have some guitars on the booth this year. For example, the rather new Vandenberg signature guitars. They came out, I'm not sure, last year or the year before. They're available now in many shops. And it's basically a reissue of the old Vandenberg guitars. The only thing that's different is that these have a real Floyd Rose tremolo instead of a Kala tremolo that it used to have. We also brought some basses, in this case the new versions of the famous Sirrus bass. Those have some special Peavey features, like this for example. This head plate, which gives you a little bit more sustain and a very stable sound. And it's, yeah, neck through. And the pickups are Peavey pickups, which have a very special sound, especially because the magnets inside are orientated differently than in a normal pickup. It's a little bit hard to explain, but it gives you a different magnetic field and therefore a different sound. Of course, we also have a few modeling amps, Viper X series, which is very famous. The difference between these amps and a lot of other modeling amps is that it uses Peavey's trans-tube technology, which is an analog circuit which is doing most of the overdrive sounds, which gives you a very natural and direct feeling. And last but not least, we have a little selection of the Classic series, in this case the Classic 20 head and the Classic 20 combo. The amp section of both amps is basically the same. You have a clean and an overdrive channel and many options on the back. You can reduce the power from 20/5 to 1 watt. And you also have the option to record directly via the MSDI interface, which is an analog speaker simulation, or you can also use the integrated USB interface. Thanks for watching and see you next year.